And good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne, as the slide in front of you says, and we are doing this thing again, at least trying it again this way. This is the midday check-in for 1/24/2018. It is live, and no, once again, I am not doing the straight video thing because I just don't want to. We're trying to figure out how I'm going to do this and make it share and kind of work in a kind of a standard way, but I wanted the video to look more like a video, so I did some extra pizzazz to the slides, if you call this pizzazz. So as it says there, this is the Conversations Midday Check-In. Today is 1/24/2018. That is Wednesday the 24th, I should say. Now I'm confused. I had some days off. This last on Friday. I had Monday was a kind of quick day, and yesterday I actually took the day off from work, so I'm getting myself back into the swing of things. So bear with me for not having my bearings straight. And yes, we are just using PowerPoint, but I haven't figured out how to make it just take over the whole screen without the slideshow on the side. So you'll see the slides as they go, because that's just how it goes. So speaking of which, this is me. This is a graphical digital representation of basically what I look like. I have new glasses, hadn't shaved in a few days, and my hair, it goes along with the shaving. So I'm gonna look a little bit more scraggly than that, but that's basically how I look like. If you've never seen me, if you've seen me before, this should look like how I look like. So this is the voice, the face behind the voice, the face attached to the voice, and this is the slides that go along with it. As I said, I should just talk into the camera, look straight into it, and work with that. But right now, just for reasons we won't get into at the moment, it's not quite feasible for me to go on camera and work this thing out. So it's easier for me to throw up the slides and go this way. So, and this makes it a video. So we'll see how this works out when I upload it in a bit, because we'll actually upload this one as a test. Now, to make contact with us via the conversation, I have various other things and projects that I'm online for. But for the conversation, follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, and at our website. And as you interact with the stories that come down throughout the day, you get a chance to tell us what's going to be in the check-ins, top 5 for the day, middays, and of course, all the top 10 stories, plus whatever comes down the line so far for the day, for the weekly wrap-up show, where we do the top 10. We talk about the almost relevant story. This is the very last story of how our list is. And then we come back and give you the full 15, what almost made it into the top 10 stories that were close, but not quite close enough. Twitter.com/th_conversation. On Facebook, it is facebook.com/thisistheconversation. And the main website is thisistheconversation.com. Also, email addresses where you can contact me and just ask me things, tell me things, whatever. info@jclevelandpayne.net and jclevelandpayne@gmail.com. Now, I should have some sort of graphic to say, here's the top 5, but we'll work on that. As I said, I went from straight white background to straight black background, just as the first up step to this thing. So bear with me as we hope to strive towards improvement. If we set the bar low, then we can slowly make our improvements. Now, this is going from bottom to top with the top 5 currently at the moment. The number 5 star right now, no more free checking for customers with low balances at Bank of America. Bank of America gets lots of kudos for being a very innovative bank, and lots of hate for being a not so nice bank. I've had more than my fair share of just not great experiences with Bank of America. And I've had some conversations with people who have fixed things as necessary, but the reason why they're necessary is sort of the issue. And here's an issue that's coming up right now. The low free checking accounts for low income people who don't make a lot of money and have low balances on their checking accounts, will no longer be free. Now, how this will work, you'll have to kind of go deeper into the conversation. It'll take a few days for this to work out, but essentially there will be no more free checking accounts for low balance holders at Bank of America. Whether the amount of the direct deposit makes a difference or whatever, we'll see. But if you keep a very low balance, you keep it essentially under $50 or so, whatever the low number is, that could be like 200, because that's back in the day. It was, if you had less than $100 back before they had direct deposits, they took a fee out if it was something like $100 or so in most checking accounts, especially if they made money. These accounts obviously don't make any money, but they obviously are costing Bank of America some money, despite the fact that they make record numbers of money off of fees for people being late on their stuff. And overdraft fees are a pain. I can tell you, no pun intended or pun intended, that I've dealt with overdraft issues quite a bit over the past couple of years, and they have been a pain. Number 4 story for right now, Toys R Us says it's going to shut down a fifth of its stores in the U.S. That comes on to around 120 or so, I believe. I don't have the article in front of me right now, but Toys R Us is going to give up on a good chunk of its real estate, and we already knew this was coming. This is something that's not a surprise. Toys R Us is failing for all practical purposes, and the big culprit is online stores, and now the box stores, which are stepping up their online game. So Walmart and Target and the big brand retailers where people were still actually going into the store to look at the toys and still do that are selling toys so low in store and so low online and offering up in some cases buy online, pick up at the store, that going to Toys R Us, which was a luxury back when I was a kid 30 years ago, it was, the rich kids, the kids with money got a chance to go to Toys R Us, and because they had all the big cool toys. Now you can get all the same toys at the same stores. You can get some of those toys in your grocery stores. At your Kroger, we have a large selection in our Kroger that has a big selection of toys there. So why go to a Toys R Us, a standalone place where you can go to a department store or a grocery store and pick up some toys and pick up actual things that you need? An extra stop is not necessary, or just get it online. Toys R Us is having some issues, so they're killing about a fifth of its stores. Check out online the list to see if your Toys R Us will survive this onslaught. The number 3 store right now, which we suspect will move up to at least 2 for the day, if not maybe the top story of the day, is Larry Nassar is sentenced to 40 to 175 years in sexual assault cases. Now, that's a pretty big number, but he had a whole lot of cases. If you remember, up until a few hours ago, there were still gymnasts and people representing people who were injured by Larry Nassar giving as much audible testimony as they wanted to. The judge just let them talk. And the judge ended this phase by reading the 6-page letter that Nassar wrote, saying that he was the victim and that he couldn't really deal with all this pain and anguish from hearing all these stories. Just to put contrast on the pain and anguish from people telling all the stories, and Larry Nassar, who is now sentenced to at least 40 years in prison, based on what's going to happen. It'll probably be much, much more. 175 years is going to be hard to pull off since I believe he's in his 50s or 60s. And so I'm not sure he's got 125 more years to live. But if they can figure it out, trust me, they'll figure it out to see if they can hit that 175 mark. Number 2 story for the day, Save the Children offices attack in Jalalabad, Afghanistan. Members of Islamic State, I believe 3 members of Islamic State attacked the offices of Save the Children in Afghanistan, in Jalalabad today. 3 members attacked it, 2 people killed, and I believe 19 people injured. There's like 50 staff that work in that building. This story will take a few days to develop because it's from over there, so it takes us a while to get all the details from that. But this is another sad state of affairs from the Islamic State, showing that the war against terror and terrorists will probably never be over. And the way we fight these people, this is one of those cases where I will use on purpose these people, that term, are going to be hard to take care of. And the current number 1 story, and it went there very quickly, and it will came out of a total shock, is Erykah Badu. When I saw she was trending, I had to see what was going on. Number 1, make sure she's not dead or not doing anything crazy. She gave an interview that turned into a bit of a craziness. In the interview, she goes all over the place, but she really talks about seeing the goodness in all people, the human spirit in all, including lines that says she still respects all the great things Bill Cosby did, minus the whole raping women thing. That Adolf Hitler, we must remember this. Excuse me, Adolf Hitler was once a young boy, a young, innocent boy, and for whatever reason turned into the monster that he was, but he was once an innocent young child, and we have to actually remember that, because she remembers that. No one else really does. Erykah Badu, who of course is basically called a weirdo by many people, well, basically proving it, in my opinion, here. So once again, we are various ways that you can figure out what we're doing, what we're talking about, and be a part of the conversation. Follow us on social media. On Twitter, it's th_conversation. And on Facebook, it's This Is The Conversation. Our main website is thisisconversation.com, so check that out as well. As you interact with our social media sites, you'll see the stories posted all day long, and the interaction we get, we see reactions, we see We see people who are talking to it, sending replies, sharing it with folks, replying, liking, loving, all sorts of things. The more interaction that a story gets, the higher it goes in the list. It gets here in this top 5 list for the midday check-in, and of course, we'll make it somewhere in the list, maybe if it's a big hot one, in the top 10 list for right now. Excuse me. So right now, the Erykah Badu story, we suspect will make it into the top 10, will stay high enough in the top 10 where it is. I believe that the story from Larry Nassar will also make it in as well. It just needs a little bit more time and seasoning. I basically posted it within 15 minutes of doing this live feed. So it's currently 12:30 Central Time right now, and it got posted about 12:10, 12:15 or so. So it only had a few minutes to get going and already jumped in the top 3 for what we had going on all day. Make sure you stop by the main website or just go to your favorite podcatcher and look for This is the Conversations weekly wrap-up podcast show, and you can get the podcast and hear what the top 10 comes down to every single week. It comes down on Friday afternoons and always live by Saturday morning, so you can hear what the big stories were for the past 8-ish days or so. It goes from Friday to Friday, essentially, so you get that as well. Otherwise, you can also email me at info@jclevelandpayne.net or jclevelandpayne@gmail.com. Let me know how we're doing in this project and any other project that you happen to follow me on. So there's that. Thank you so much for the check-in, and we'll try to do it again, another check-in tomorrow afternoon.